Of course, it's still TVC Breakfast. We will still dwell a bit on Jacob Zuma in South Africa. Of course, protests, widespread protests calling for him to step down. But this time, let's take it out to the people. Let's find out what they're saying. And Foladile will be telling us all about it. Fola.
Good morning, Ngozi.
Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Good morning, Busalami. I didn't forget your name like Tony. All right, so let's see what people are saying online.
Yeah.
Hey Paddy says, hashtag Zuma must go, hashtag Zuma must fall. South Africa is serious about sending away corrupt Zuma. Adrian Basson says, first he plagiarizes EFF South Africa on land and economic transformation. Now he says People's March was racist. Zuma has played all his cards. Sizwimbatha says, the real problems are rapes, murders, social inequality, racial inequality, economic inequality. Those are the things I will march against. And someone replied to that, said, Mr. Mathia, you're right, but why don't you include corruption as the real catalyst to these inequalities? And then Mr. Mbatha replied saying, either way, I will not join white people who selectively become outraged. Only when it suits them, it's hypocritical. Fumzile says, only thing I hate seeing more than black people suffer is black people suffering because of corrupt, self-serving black people. Hashtag People's March. Leader of the New School says, if you think hashtag People's March is just for whites, then you clearly don't have a clue about the serious negative impact Zuma has on us and generations to come. And Boy Duffy says, it's actually very worrying to see that people are more concerned with race than the state of our country, our country is in. Hashtag Save South Africa, hashtag People's March.
All of a sudden, race is taking the front burner and distracting people from the real issues.
That of corruption. You expect that when there was a case, you know, the former Finance Minister Godhan and the Gupta family, and we were surprised that the president, that's Jacob Zuma, prayed to be part of a suit. Now, in conjunction with Gupta, instead of the finance minister, so the issue of corruption really is key. And don't forget that the same Godhan, that's the former finance minister, did not listen to Zuma when he insisted that the government expenditure should be increased.
Yes.
So really.
And
it's a major issue there. And then, of course, you have the Gupta family problems. But while South Africans are having their problems, Nigeria is facing a major health challenge. Yes. Talking about meningitis.
Exactly.
I wonder if you have anything.
I do have something on that.
Okay,
so let's take a look at what people are saying online about meningitis, and then I'll bring it back to you ladies. Okay, so Tyra says, all price crashed, the mask fell off, and underneath it all, Nigeria is just a country that can't deal with cholera or meningitis. Sheombade just says, be careful guys, there's an outbreak of meningitis in Nigeria, 269 deaths recorded in 15 of the country's 36 states. Dogara Ado says, what is the entry point of meningitis into Nigeria? Ebola was through Lagos. Please provide an answer.
Okay.
Daka Ramos says, in the last 5 days, a meningitis outbreak has killed over 282 people in Nigeria. No outrage, no response from the government. It's sad being in Nigeria.
And that number has gone on up since
exactly,
then.
it keeps changing. Someone is saying 269, someone is saying 282, but it has gone up, yes.
It has.
Amaran Wakba says, every year between December and June, there's an outbreak of meningitis in northern Nigeria, yet we are never ready for it.
And that's the question really that has troubled the minds of people. How is it that we're not able to, you know, take proactive measures to tackle this? And
to tackle anything,
you now have this new strain, C strain of meningitis.
And this is not the first time.
Yes,
there
exactly.
There are no vaccines.
Indeed.
The vaccines, there's a global vaccine shortfall. And guess what? The cost of the drugs is totally prohibitive. $50 per dose. That's about 18,000 naira.
18,500.
Who can afford that?
And
really?
Okay, so and the issue of corruption won't go away. We're talking about this
exactly,
and the vaccines.
And you probably should also talk about. I mean, I'll go in a minute, but you probably should also talk about the fact that it seems to be a big Nigerian problem that we leave everything till last minute.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been able to figure out that between December and June every year this is something that happens, then you probably should be able to preempt it and then figure out what to do.
And not the fire brigade approach that we're used to.
Absolutely, you took it right out of my mouth.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. Of course, the National Assembly says the outbreak of meningitis across the country is connected to the rising change in climatic conditions within Nigeria. It says it's working out new legislation to tackle climate change, gas flaring, and work out access to clean energy.
The Nigerian Office of the Global Legislators Organization, made up of 7 senators and House of Representative members, disclosed this during a visit to Senate President Bukola Saraki in his office.
Epidemic cannot be unconnected to our worsening climate and heat waves and our relatively low capacity to adapt and mitigate them. As a purpose-driven caucus of the Nigerian Parliament, Globe Nigeria, and indeed the National Assembly have a responsibility to protect our people through effective legislation and oversight on climate diseases, migration, conflicts, and food insecurity. Climate change is one of the flagship issues Globe has been advocating.
I'm very, very happy and encouraged by what I hear today of the close work between the House and the Senate to see that the climate change bill will come. It will come almost at the same time, and I'm sure with that it will move quickly through. Because when I did go to this meeting, you see small African countries saying they've passed this law, they've passed that law, they've passed it, and of course all of them look up to Nigeria, and we used to look that we have a lot of work to do.
Yes, you got that right. You really have a lot of work to do. Maybe it's a good one. The National Assembly is working to see the bill on climate change passed. How that will change the dynamics of all of this.
And it's a good thing. You remember that we've now signed the Paris agreement, really. But the issue, perhaps, and what the center of their discussion will be domesticating it, making it part of our own legislation here, so it becomes binding. This is not the first time Nigeria will enter into treaties, sign charters and all that, and when we come back home, it's not really implemented.
Yes, indeed. And of course, gas flaring is a major challenge in Nigeria. Now, the figures there as at April 3, or is it 5, 2017, 2,997 cases, 336 confirmed dead. As at April 5, yes, 2017, 3,959 cases confirmed and 438 dead. The question is, I mean, these numbers really are alarming. Within a space of 3 days, you had 1,000 more people affected by this meningitis, also known as CSM. The new strain, of course, is a major challenge for Nigeria. Vaccines are not enough. Of course, Zamfara and other states like Kebbi, Sokoto, that are badly affected are really having their plate full.
And the warped analysis given by the governor of a state there, it's really surprising.
Okay.
You don't want to go into that. Okay, we'll go on a short break right now and return with more. Stay with us.